and welcome to another episode of Rio Grande Women's Basketball Show. As always, I'm joined by head coach David Smalley, and today we will also speak with juniors Haley Jordan and Ella Skeens. Welcome, Coach Smalley.
Great to be here, Coach.
So we want to kind of review the two games over the weekend before we preview the next three games before our next episode next Wednesday. So can you talk a little bit about how the weekend went? We're 2-0 now. On Friday, kind of talk about Milligan. If you want to, we'll start there. So kind of talk about the Milligan game.
Well, Coach, anytime you start out the season 2-0 and then you have a kind of a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to kind of get ready for the next one, it's always a great week. You know, it kind of puts a bounce in your step, and we got a bounce in our step. And we started out with Milligan. We were really concerned with Milligan. Number 2, Jenkins, she was a great post player on the inside, and she ended up with 18 points, 14 rebounds. But I still think we did a pretty decent job on her. We did let number 11 Griffith kind of get away. She ended up with 23 points and kind of lit us up for some threes. And things weren't looking good at line center. We're down 40-43 at halftime, and I know I was frustrated, and I think the coaching staff was frustrated, and I think maybe our players were frustrated. We just hadn't started to click yet. I thought maybe just a little bit too much one-on-one stuff, and we turned the ship around. I thought our bench was extremely important in that game, and then we end up winning at a convincing clip. And Lawrence Tech, long, physical, thick bodies, had a guard that was pretty decent, number 12, I believe her name was Fisher. She ended up with 22 points, but she also had 9 turnovers, so that kind of fell into our favor there. And again, I thought our bench did a nice job. We kind of jumped on Lawrence Tech early, and as I recall, Lawrence Tech kind of beat us first game of the season last year. Is that? Am I right on that?
Well, you know, I don't like to look in the past.
Yeah,
but yeah, they did. But they didn't beat us like we did.
No, and I think our returning players had a little bit of revenge on their minds a little bit. And we came out and played extremely well in those two games against two teams that I think maybe going down the road they're going to have very successful years. So that's kind of a recap. Being 2-0 is pretty exciting to start the season off, and you know, who knows what the future lies if we keep working hard and bench keeps doing what they're doing. Great things are going to happen for this program.
Yeah, so going to kind of review both of those individually. So the Milligan game, you had to be happy with the production from two of the girls that we're going to speak with today. With Haley Jordan, 12 of 17 from the field, 4 of 4 from the foul line, 7 rebounds, 28 points, and only 20 minutes of play. I mean, those numbers speak for themselves. Also, you have Ella Skeens, 7 of 11 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3, 1 of 2 from the foul line, 6 rebounds, 16 points, 6 assists. Can you elaborate on those two for a little bit?
Well, those two young ladies, which we're glad that they're here and going to talk on the show and get their input from their own production. But those two ladies are pretty much foundation stones for us and what we're doing, and they've been very consistent in this early season. And then, you know, you mentioned the stats from Haley, you know, 28 points, you know, and over the weekend, averaging what she did for both of those games, 21 points, 5 rebounds. You can't ask for anything better. And then Haley kind of had a situation where she didn't do maybe as well in that first half, but then came out that second half. And that's what we can always rely on Haley. And when she puts two halves together, good things are going to happen for that young lady and for this program. And Ella she's a hard guard. I think other opposing teams are going to have to figure out, you know, how do we counter a Haley Jordan, and then you got an Ella Skeens or vice versa. And then those statistical lines that you had on Ella, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, also threw in her a couple of steals, and end up with 16 points, and I believe she averaged 14 points for the weekend per game and 4.5 rebounds. So we're going to go as those two go, and the exciting thing for me in 30 years, we've always had 1, 2, sometimes 3 players that we can kind of rely on, build around. We're deeper than that this year, and our bench, again, I don't want to underlie the bench contributions that we've had, and we'll talk more about those. But those two young ladies in that Milligan game set the tone, made things happen, and was huge in our success there.
Yeah, and some other double-figure scores from that first game. I mean, Kaylee Darnell, first game at the collegiate level, 12 points. Aaliyah Kreitz, who we all know is probably the glue that holds the team together, that doesn't maybe get the respect that she deserves, but she fills up the stat box every single game. 12 points. Avery Harper coming off the bench for 10 points and 13 rebounds. Got 2 double-doubles this weekend. And then another post player that we'd like to mention is Jocelyn. 6 points, 6 rebounds in 9 minutes of play.
Yeah, that's where, as I mentioned in my tenure, we've just not had that kind of bench production. I can't remember the statistics, but we scored 40-some points off of the bench in one of those games, and we were knocking on 40 in the other game. And that is so huge when you have players that can do that. And then to think of some players that really haven't rose yet and haven't had the shining that I know they're going to do. Think of a Kaylee Ross or Courtney Pfeiffer. That I guarantee you, those two young ladies throughout the season are going to come in, get hot, and drain the threes and get us over a hump or maybe win some games for us. So we're just blessed at this point.
Or China Chambers.
Well,
China Chambers China Chambers is she's playing some good defense right now, but offensively she's not where we know that she's going to be.
Right.
And whenever it clicks with that, with whatever we have, with the rest of the team, you're looking at a 120-point game some point.
So China, her body of work, she's already proven herself, and in my mind, I'm just waiting, as just what you alluded to. We've got, the Haley Jordans, the Ella Skeens, and the Darnells, and the people that are doing, and we haven't mentioned Aaliyah Kreitz, and there's some people and then when China starts doing what she's capable of doing, China still she averaged 4 assists in those 2 games, even though the shots weren't falling for her, but she still is something to be reckoned with by the opponent. So, right now, again, it's early, and, we keep focused, keep playing hard. Good things are going to happen to this program.
Yeah, and we'll quickly go over this Lawrence Tech. As you had stated earlier, we jumped on them from the beginning, and 3 double-figure scores in that game as well. As you had Haley Jordan, 7 of 15 for 14 points. Ella Skeens, 3 of 7, 6 for 7 from the foul line for 12 points. Avery Harper, 7 for 7 from the field, 1 for 1 from the foul line for 15 points, and she had 10 rebounds. Again, big roles from them. What the first 2 games, a stat line that jumped out to me that, I'm a big stat guy, so whenever I'm going back and looking, first game, Ella led us with 6 assists, and second game, Kaylee Darnell led us with 5. I don't know 2 back-to-back games where somebody that wasn't labeled our point guard had led us an assist. That kind of just tells you of everybody's IQ, because the China Chambers of the world, the McHales, Asia Williams, Zoe Smith, they're going to get 5, 6, 7, 8 assists. I get that. But our forwards and guards can pass just as well as our point guards. And that's going to be something in the future for teams that just are going to give them trouble, because they're used to, being able to lock down on one defender. So, again, it was a great overall game. We jumped on them from the beginning. This was one where we only had 3 double-figure scores, and we still scored 92 points, which means everybody pitched in, and I think that's going to be a problem for people as well.
Well, again, what you're talking about, that's a testament of the unselfishness that this program has. And I believe one of our true team strengths is in our transition, and as a coaching staff, we got to figure out ways for us to get in transition a lot sooner, a lot quicker, and more consistently throughout the game. And with the unselfishness and our ability to run, and with our length, again, that's another weapon that we have. And we just got to keep working hard, playing hard, stay healthy. With the outside things, you and I, we're both crying because we got our booster shot there yesterday and acting like our arms are going to fall off. But there's so many things out there outside of our control. So once we get everything in line, and this weekend's going to be a huge test for us, another big test.
Yeah, so we're going to look at the 3 games before our next episode. So this weekend, on Friday, we're going to be playing Goshen. On Saturday, Concordia. And then next Tuesday, a trip to Shawnee State. We'll start off with the Goshen. Goshen's 2-0. They just squeezed by with a victory last night, I believe 72-71 in overtime. Now, a game that's not included on their 2-0 record is a game against NCAA Division I Western Michigan, where Goshen actually was up after the first quarter. Now, they went on to lose 77-53, but being able to lead a quarter against a Division I team shows a little bit of toughness. So can you talk a little bit about Goshen?
Well, I think that's a great point. Goshen played the D1 exhibition game, and I think, as you mentioned, they led the first quarter. If I thought I read the box score right, they outscored them 2 points the second quarter, but they got throttled in the fourth quarter. Outscored them 2. They got throttled in the second and third. But going back to Goshen, I think that's a team win that we beat 92-88 up there last year, and that swing where we were really I think was it 1-5 during that particular time of our schedule last year? We're not looking at rearview mirror anymore. Yeah. And I think they had a 10, 12-point lead on us at halftime. We chipped away cut it down to about 5 or 6 the third quarter, and then we end up winning. I think they're going to be motivated. Like we were motivated for Lawrence Tech, they're going to come in here motivated. They got some strong players. They have some players that we kind of nicknamed some bulldozers. I mean, in the post play, we're going to see some physicality in the post. They like the 3. They're averaging, I believe, 8 made threes in the 2 games that they have taken, or the 2 games that they have played. They've averaged making 8 threes. So, again, their physicality, their length, not so much their length, but their athleticism and their strength and their ability on the inside in our post play is going to give us a test. I'm excited to see how we handle that.
Yeah, and again, as an opponent we had played last year, so I believe we stole one from them in third place, so they're going to have that same motivation. Looking for Saturday, an opponent, to my knowledge, we haven't played in my tenure while I've been around, Concordia out of Michigan. Usually pretty solid program. Looks like they have a good team again this year. They bring a 1-1 record in this weekend, but as did Goshen against a Division I school. They played Eastern Michigan this week, and they beat them in 2 of the 4 quarters. The second and third quarter kind of got away from them and ended in a loss for them, 85-61. But again, being able to beat Division I school in 2 of the quarters shows a little bit of toughness. Can you talk a little bit about Concordia?
Well, you're right. Concordia, I don't know that I've played them. If I did, it's been many, many years ago. And just from the fact that you've already alluded to, the fact that they are 1-1 and did a nice job against Eastern Michigan University, which I believe is still in the MAC, Mid-American Conference at the Division I level. They're averaging 6 threes made per contest, and they're out rebounding their opponents. Now, probably the exhibition game, I don't know that those statistics are on in that area. But one thing I've noticed about all the teams we played last week and we're going to play this week, and I'm going to throw Rio Grande in there for just a minute, free throws. Coach, the free throws are it's horrendous shooting percentage from all the teams. Goshen coming in, they're averaging 65% at the free throw line, and as our players will tell you, it should be 78% or 87%, depending on reversals. And then Concordia is at 49% at the free throw line. Now, Rio Grande, at one point, I believe in our first game against Milligan, we shot 60% free throw line. Oh, Dad wasn't happy with that. But then we rebounded against Lawrence Tech, shot 83%. We're getting 24 attempts or more per game, which is kind of like what we want to get, and that's going to be a huge thing for us. And it's just our players, they're great players, they're smart players, and you can't put a lot of stress on them on free throws. But that's kind of one of in the early part of any season, free throws are kind of one of those things that it'll get better as we go along. Yeah,
we just like to make the games close. And that's what we at least tell ourselves on those, right?
Correct.
So let's lastly touch on before we get with the players. If this weekend isn't enough, preparing for all that, a very short recovery time to go across to rival Shawnee State, who has a completely different team, new coach. Who knows what their style is? They haven't played a game yet. They will play Saturday at Washington Adventist. So, what expectations do you have of what their team's going to bring? A ton of transfers, new players, with a new coach. Well, can you give us a preview?
As you alluded to, it's the unknowns. It's a brand new coach with a brand new team. I think maybe there are two or three players that were holdoffs from the previous team. I think Coach Nichols took the job down at Georgetown. Shawnee's a storybook program. It goes back to Robin Hagan-Smith back in the day, and Robin Hagan-Smith's an alum from Rio Grande, and she just built a tremendous program. And Jeff came in, did a great job, and kept that going. They're going to be hard to handle. They got some size. They've got some athleticism. The only positive thing that I can see just from looking at the roster is they're not very deep. They maybe have 9, 10 in the program, and if we stay true to ourselves with our depth and our length, I think that's going to be a huge positive for us. And we're going down to Shawnee, and that's a tough place to play. But you know what? We scheduled that game when Coach Nichols was still in the program. And we knew, we kind of sensed we had a good thing going on here with, as you had done a great job with recruiting, and we wanted to challenge our players and our teams to get them ready. The bottom line is what vehicle can we get to that national tournament, to win that first game and go deep, and why not win a national tournament? And the teams like that we're playing this weekend in Shawnee, and then you got University of Pikeville, and then Indiana Tech. So I still think I ought to fire my scheduling coordinator, but I think good things are going to happen, and we're going to take it in stride. We're going to take some lumps, and how you handle adversity, how you handle that's going to be a huge positive for us going forward.
Yeah, and just as we said last week, hopefully next week when we do our weekly show, we'll bring 3 wins this time instead of 2, and we'll be 5-0, and life will be perfect. But no matter what, we'll learn and grow, and that's the name of the game. And Coach, we appreciate you coming on and speaking with us, and we'll bring a few of the players up to talk with them now.
Good deal.
All right, now we're joined by junior Haley Jordan and Ella Skeens. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning.
All right, so we're up bright and early for the talk show here, but it's always great to be doing anything basketball related after some wins. We stand 2-0. A big reason is you two, along with your teammates, obviously. So we kind of want to review the opening games and then kind of get into some of your own goals and team goals. So we'll start off with Haley. Haley against Milligan, like we had said earlier, 12 of 17. For 28 points, 7 rebounds. I believe you had 5 points in the first half, so you had 23 points in the second half. I mean, can you talk a little bit about your game on Friday?
Well, I couldn't have done it without my teammates. Like, if you run the floor, they're guaranteed to give you the ball. So, as long as you run the floor, you're guaranteed to score.
Yeah, so with you talking about as long as you run the floor, the teammates getting you the ball and different things, as I had stated earlier, with Ella leading with assists one game and Darnell the second game, in your first 2 years, that usually came from a Sydney Holden or a China Chambers. How much does it help your game now that like anybody on the court can really hit you while you're running or know where you are at any time? Like how much better does that make your game?
That makes me a lot better because you're not always looking for just one person. Like the ball could come from anybody. So if you're running the floor, the ball could come from Ella Skeens, Kaylee Darnell, Reagan Willingham, not just China or Asia. So it definitely helps out a lot that anybody can get you the ball whenever.
Takes a lot of stress off of people that we normally put a lot of stress on to let you be yourself. On that Lawrence Tech game as well, 7 for 15 for 14 points. I mean, what people would be like, wow, you scored 28, now you scored 14. We'd take 14 on any day, and then the 28. But again, 21 minutes. So you're being super productive in a 21 minute span. What's a Haley Jordan going to be when we get her up to playing 26, 27, 28, 29 minutes is where the coaching staff wants her to be?
Well, I could produce more for the team, give more with more minutes, but obviously I'm still getting the job done. So.
Yeah, and the great thing is whenever you come out, you know that one of your teammates is going to go in that's going to play just as hard and give the same production. An example we used earlier was a Jocelyn. probably didn't get as much playing time last year. In the first 2 games, she's 7 points one game, 6 points the other, in less than 8 minutes of work. So, have you been a good mentor to those type of players and helping them in the program since the time they've been here?
Yeah, my thing is I just try to help confidence, make sure that they're comfortable going on the game, that they know they can score. I know they can score. So if I'm coming out the game, I'm thinking, all right, they're about to get the job done. They're about to handle what they have to handle. So.
Yeah, and Ella, coming into a whole new program, learning plays, learning systems, learning flow. People just don't understand. I really think it's just underutilized or thought of how much chemistry really matters. And you have to. It takes time to develop. But you come in your first game, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Your second game, you got 12 points, 3 rebounds. So can you kind of talk about the early trials of getting chemistry with the players and up to the past 2 games of when you actually got to play real games with them?
Yeah, the chemistry and stuff is the biggest thing that I wanted to actually talk about in these first 2 games, because last year it was COVID year, so a lot of that chemistry for me, and I think a lot of other teams can relate, is it comes from that summer and those open gyms of your team just creating those and not just waiting for your coaches and to organize that. So I think throughout the summer, bonding with the team and playing those open gyms, that's led to our chemistry in these first 2 games, which is success since we're 2-0 so far.
Yeah, and with that again, and Haley, I think you'll agree, Ella wasn't a part of our team last year. And I agree with that COVID statement. I mean, we start 1-5. We know we're better than 1-5, but it was just something wasn't there. I mean, we didn't have our cookouts that we usually have. We didn't get to go to the movies like we usually do. I mean, all that stuff builds up chemistry. We're all not perfect friends, but we respect each other because we build up chemistry through all those activities, and we all respect each other. And I felt like something was missing last year, and we've got to correct all of those this year and spend all that time. And maybe I'm convincing myself, but I think that's played a little bit of help because we get to know each other on a whole different level at these activities, and the chemistry is just off the charts.
Definitely on and off the court.
Yeah,
the chemistry matters.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and touch with Haley. What is a personal goal for Haley this year, and what's a team goal for Haley this year?
A personal goal for me, I think, is to just help my teammates get better and just making sure our team is just one. And then as a team goal, I think I want to actually win the conference this year and obviously go back to national tournament, win some games in the national tournament, get a ring. So
win the national tournament.
Yeah. So that's great goals for Haley individually and as a team. And, Haley is somebody that's going to have an opportunity of playing this year, even though she's a junior, and still have 2 more years of eligibility if she chooses to play that 5th year. Ella has 2 years of eligibility counting this year. So these are 2 people that are definitely going to be pivotal in our program for time to come. So, Ella, what is your personal goal, and then what is your team goal?
My personal goal would be just to come to practice every day and push and work and make my teammates better, because it all goes back to the chemistry. If we don't have chemistry on and off the floor, then I don't think we're going to work, and we're not going to we're going to win some games, but we're not going to win a lot of games, and the goal is to win as many games as we can. So I think just showing up in practice and energy and effort, you always go back to that. That's the big thing. So that's all and you don't have to coach that. So just showing up every day, working hard.
Yeah, and that's something that we definitely have in years past, and it's not a negative. I've been there myself, and I would like to get out of practice sometimes 10 and 20 minutes early, but really haven't had anybody wanting to cut practice short, wanting to do anything. We may want to get out of a line drill here and there.
But there's no complaints.
Yeah, there's no complaints. Everybody works hard. Everybody encourages each other. We've probably conditioned as much as we've ever conditioned, so we've really put ourselves in a chance to succeed. And I think after the weekend, we all agree that it helped us.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think I already know the answer. We're going to survey it for the fans here. Haley, before the next episode, we play 3 games. What's your take on our record at our next show with 3 more games to go?
I think we'll be 5-0.
5-0, okay. I was going down that road. What about you, Ella?
5-0. Yeah,
5-0?
no question. Yeah,
Okay.
question.
So some big games coming up. Goshen on Friday. Haley was here last year. Ella was not. They were giving it to us pretty good up there. After halftime, just like many of our games, we decided to turn it on. And we came back and won. So how we felt against Lawrence Tech is probably how Goshen feels with us. Concordia's coming down here. Nobody wants to go on the road and lose 2 games on a weekend, so they're going to bring their best effort for us and West Virginia Tech. And then Tuesday, the big matchup with Shawnee. But again, you can't look forward to a game because you got to go with the current game that's ahead of you, which is going to be Goshen. But hopefully we get 3 wins. It's going to be 3 tough games. If we're 5-0 at the end of that, people better watch out because we're in the right place at the right time. And if not, we just learn and grow from it. But ladies, I appreciate you coming on the show this morning. Hopefully we get a good support. Friday we play at 7 o'clock. Saturday we play at 3 o'clock. Please come out and support these ladies. They work hard. They're entertaining. Sometimes it's very stressful, but they'll turn it on at some point, I promise. And we'll put a good product out there. So until next episode next week, Red Storm Nation, we'll see you.